Hello everyone and welcome to another Pokemon Pocket video. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite decks ever, which is the Weezing Alakazam deck. This deck's super fun, it contains 0 EX Pokemon, and it is very good into the current meta. Pretty good against Mewtwo, quite good against Pikachu, and then everything else it can kind of dominate, really. The only thing it can sometimes struggle with is versus like exactly Venusaur, because of the way Alakazam works, but other than that, it is very, very strong. So I'll just go over a few of the points of this exact build. This is the build I've had by far the most success with, so let's check it out. First off, of course, we have 2 Coughing and 2 Weezing. Makes sense, we're playing Weezing to buy time. A lot of the time we want to start with Coughing in our active slot, evolve into Weezing very quickly, and it only needs 1 Dark Energy, and it's set up for pretty much the whole game at that point. So you can apply the poison, you can tackle for 30 or 50 if you're against Psychic, so it's pretty good against those sort of early Mewtwo turns as well. Really piles on the pressure and sort of forces potions out of your opponent. And all the while this is happening, the idea is to build up that Alakazam. So obviously starting with Abra into Kadabra and so on, all the while stacking the energy. Now, the important thing about this deck is it does in fact run Dark Energy and Psychic Energy. So you want to make sure both of those energies are in the deck, because if you look at the 2 Pokemon we use, Coughing only needs 1 Dark, full stop. So as soon as you put 1 Dark on there, it's done, it's set up. And Alakazam only needs 1 Psychic. So of course, there are times when it gets a little bit awkward, you get super unlucky with the energy rolling, but in general, this is very easy to achieve because you pretty much have all game to hit the Alakazam Psychic because you only need 1 Psychic on it total to get the job done. And then you need 1 Dark as well. The Weezing is the one that can suffer sometimes if you don't start Dark a little bit early on. Like your optimal opening is Coughing in active spot and turn 1 Dark Energy, because then you put the Dark on that, and then the rest of it just goes over to your Abra / Alakazam or, whatever. So those are your main hitters, and what you really want to do is use these Weezings to buy time, and then when you are ready, knock out your opponent's key Pokemon with Alakazam. Because Alakazam has 3 energy attack, which deals 60, but then plus 30 for each energy that's attached to that active Pokemon, and not Alakazam, your opponent's Pokemon. So Alakazam hits very, very hard. And there are a few Pokemon that can actually actively play around that, or play around it well. All the while, it's got 130 health, so it's fairly tanky as well for a non-EX Pokemon. So the idea really, as I said, is get the Weezing tanking and just put, chip damage, putting poison on stuff, dealing some tackles, and then just get Alakazam. Make sure you chuck him out when he's going to knock something out instantly, and hopefully survive the return swing from your opponent so Alakazam can go again. Because if you manage to do that, the game normally ends, right? Like I said, there's very few things that can deal with it. If we look at the way the rest of the cards, the rest of the deck is built, we have 1 Giovanni in there, 1 Koga, and 1 Sabrina. Outside of a couple of decks, I'm personally not a double Sabrina enjoyer. I like the 1 because I feel like 1 is enough to achieve what you want to achieve with that card, which is bounce something awkward into the active slot and then knock it out to just get an easy prize point, or 2 maybe. Giovanni's in there just because sometimes you need that extra push. Sometimes with the poison and Weezing tackles, a Giovanni can really just make Weezing start to knock Pokemon out. And if you're knocking Pokemon out with just Weezing before you even get into the Alakazam, you're in a very, very good spot. And then finally, the Koga. A lot of people, again, similar to Sabrina, are like, oh, you should try 2 Koga, or you should run 2 Koga. I find that you don't really want to run more than 1 because you never want to sit with 2. And I understand the arguments of 2 offs, makes you more likely to draw them. I get it. But when you Koga Weezing back to your hand, it's good, right? But you do have to reset it. You do preferably want another Dark Energy. The main value of Koga in the Weezing is to buy time, and you can do a cool little trick as well. If you have a Coughing on the bench and a Weezing on the active, you can Koga it out, swap it with the Coughing, then just evolve with the Weezing you got back to your hand. So it's very, very powerful. But I've never felt like I needed more than 1, because when I do use the Koga, it does its job, and I couldn't ever imagine wanting a second. And it's not like it's vital to our game plan. It's just something that, excuse me, is just something that helps out with it now and again to buy us more time if we're getting a little bit unlucky with Alakazam. Of course, we have 2 Pokeball, 2 Research, the huge, and then we have 2 Potions. This is mainly for Weezing, because again, the longer you just make Weezing sustain, the poison damage stacks up, his tackle stacks up, and also it's just more and more time to stack energy on Alakazam and to maybe find the energy you need. And then finally, 1 X speed in there. This X speed is used if you get yourself in an awkward position, you need to dip out of an Abra or Kadabra to get out easier, sometimes Alakazam if needed, but really it's there as an emergency bad opening answer. So for example, if you go Abra into active because you don't have a Coughing and then you draw a Coughing, yes, you can like energy on the Abra and teleport to swap, but that's your whole turn. Whereas you can X speed it out, and maybe if it's dark energy, get it on Coughing and get cooking straight away, or get Coughing tanking those hits quickly whilst dealing out some early game damage. So I'm a bit of a fan of the 1x speed. I think it gives us enough flex overall. So yeah, a really fun deck, honestly. It's probably been my favorite deck to play for the whole game's life right now. I've put a lot of work into this. I've practiced with this deck a lot, and I've won many games because people's brains melt when an Alakazam's on the board, and also they kind of struggle to deal with Weezing a lot. So yeah, a lot of good matchups in the meta right now. Make sure to try it out and let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.